Hello, guys. My name is Milan Sharma, and I have some breaking news here to share with you. And today is September 21st, 2016. According to RT.com, U.S. Senate greenlights $1.15 billion arms sale to Saudi Arabia. The U.S. Senate gave the go-ahead for a $1.15 billion sale of tanks and other military equipment to Saudi Arabia by blocking the bill opposing the controversial transaction. The Senate voted 71 to 27 against the resolution to block the billion-dollar sale of tanks, guns, and other military equipment. The resolution was put forward by Senators Rand Paul and Chris Murphy, who argued that Saudi Arabia's role in the conflict in Yemen and its human rights record makes it a problematic recipient of American arms. And this is a country where literally 1/3 of their airstrikes hits hospitals and civilians in Yemen. 1/3. And there's a story I did earlier in my videos. You can subscribe to my channel. You can find it on my channel, that the hospital even told Saudi Arabia its coordinates so they wouldn't hit them, but they did hit them anyway. So it's so ridiculous. Amnesty International, the UN have criticized Saudi Arabia with saying that they have horrible human rights record. Yeah, we still support them because all we care about is money. And really, I mean, if we want to defeat ISIS, we cannot support them by selling them these arms that are helping ISIS. Really, they're not doing anything to stop ISIS. They're just trying to hammer down Yemen. That's the only reason they're getting these weapons. The Pentagon announced last week that the State Department had approved the potential sale of more than 130 Abrams battle tanks, 20 armored recovery vehicles, and other equipment to Saudi Arabia. In addition to human rights concerns, like I've stated, Paul and Murphy argued the sale might fuel ongoing regional arms race. Murphy told Politico prior to the debate that his aim wasn't necessarily to pass this resolution, but rather to press Saudi Arabia on its role in the civil war in Yemen. During the debate, Paul said that U.S. involvement in Iraq and Syria was illegal, as there was no congressional authorization for it, and that this debate was an indirect vote on the war in Yemen. So this is very important, because we never really... Yeah, so when Paul says that there's U.S. involvement in Iraq and Syria, there's about 4,500 troops in Iraq and between 7,000 to 8,000 troops still in Afghanistan, believe it or not. Troops. And like Obama broke his promise when he said that he'd take out those troops, but oh man, it's just horrible. Quote, "It's an indirect vote because they won't allow a direct vote," he said, adding that Americans deserve to have a debate on, quote, "when and where we should be at war." The opposition went beyond just weapons sales and into whether the U.S. should be a complicit in a Saudi-led war on Yemen. Quote, "People say, quote, no big deal, we are not really at war in Yemen." Well, yes, we are. We are refueling Saudi bombers that are dropping bombs in Yemen, Paul said, which 1/3 of them are hitting innocent civilians. We've given Saudi Arabia $100 billion worth of weapons, with a B, $100 billion. So we do need to ask, is Saudi Arabia a good ally? This is a Twitter from Rand Paul. "We must send a message right now today to Saudi Arabia. Stop putting Christians to death. Stop beheading protesters. Stop the abuse." Now, what's sad is that he has to use the word Christians because part of the base of the Republican Party is Christians, evangelicals, etc. But it's not only that. Like, they violate so many human rights records. They literally hang people to their death. They hang people. It's unbelievable. Murphy argued that all of the Saudi bombs provided by the U.S. provided by the U.S. And there was actually a headline that showed that the bomb used to hit the hospital was actually made in the U.S., by the way, are being dropped on civilians in Yemen's Houthi faction rather than being used against our sworn enemy, Al-Qaeda. This war has given opportunity. Oh yeah, and by the way, Al-Qaeda is actually has control of more land now than before we invaded in Iraq. You heard me. More land. They have more territory gained. So this quote unquote war on terrorism is not helping us. It's only hurting us. It's costing us trillions of dollars. I did a video segment earlier where we spent about $4.7 trillion in the war against terrorism. And not only are we less safe, but now they're even more dangerous. Because each year, you can look at statistics, each year terrorism attacks have actually grown. And hate crimes against Muslims have actually grown as well. This war has given opportunity for Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State to grow in leaps and bounds, he said. Quote, this is a quote from Murphy, how can you say you're serious about strangling ISIL when the textbooks that are produced inside Saudi Arabia are the very same textbooks that are handed out to recruit suicide bombers? And I actually saw a documentary on PBS on Frontline. And they're showing that or on YouTube, I guess. It was on YouTube. And they were showing the textbooks saying that, and the one boy was translating it, saying like to hate all other religions. And they're just a strong fundamentalist Islamic country and very conservative. They don't give women hardly any rights whatsoever. So next, here, according to Scott Paul. Well, at least now senators can't say they didn't vote. They didn't know. This seems to have happened as the Senate voted. Hashtag Yemen. So these are all the people that voted to stop the deal, including Rand Paul right here. Some Republicans, Harry Reid, Bernie Sanders. Some familiar names we know here. Al Franken, Cory Booker. South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham argued in favor of the Saudi arms package. And this is a major, major war hawk here. Lindsey Graham, he's a major war hawk. He said the deal would enable Saudi Arabia to fight ISIL and Al-Qaeda more aggressively and increase the kingdom's military capability to counter increased threats from Iran. And again, Iran is not the country that funded these 9/11 hijackers. Saudi Arabia did. Well, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this video segment, please like it below. And subscribe to my channel. Thanks for listening.